Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Gaura Premanande Hari Haribo. I'm very grateful to be given this divine opportunity to try to serve you in offering this Srimad Bhagavatam class. Before we get started, I need to ask for your blessings. You are all Dham-vasis, even if only for a short time, and I'm aspiring to become like you. So please pray for me and bless me. And I pray that this pleases your hearts and helps in some way by Guru and Krishna's mercy. My name is Hariprasad Das. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 72, Text 4. The chapter is entitled The Slaying of the Demon Jarasandha. Tvat-pāduke aviratam pari caranti. Dhyāyanti abhadra-naśane śucayo gṛṇanti. vindanti te kamala-nābha bhava-pavargam. āśāsate yadi āśiṣa īṣa nānye. tvat-pāduke aviratam pari caranti. dhyāyanti abhadra-naśane śucayo gṛṇanti. vindanti te kamala-nābha bhava-pavargam. āśāsate yadi āśiṣa nānye. tvat-pāduke aviratam pari caranti. dhyāyanti abhadra-naśane śucayo gṛṇanti. vindanti te kamala-nābha bhava-pavargam. āśāsate yadi āśiṣa nānye.
tvat-pāduke aviratam pari caranti.
tvat-pāduke aviratam pari caranti.
dhyāyanti abhadra-naśane śucayo gṛṇanti.
dhyāyanti abhadra-naśane śucayo gṛṇanti.
vindanti te kamala-nābha bhava-pavargam.
vindanti te kamala-nābha bhava-pavargam.
āśāsate yadi āśiṣa nānye.
āśāsate yadi āśiṣa nānye. tvat-pāduke aviratam pari caranti. dhyāyanti abhadra-naśane śucayo gṛṇanti. vindanti te kamala-nābha bhava-pavargam. āśāsate yadi āśiṣa nānye. Vaishnavis? tvat-pāduke aviratam pari caranti. dhyāyanti abhadra-naśane śucayo gṛṇanti. vindanti te kamala-nābha bhava-pavargam. āśāsate yadi āśiṣa nānye. One more? No? Okay. Tvat, your. Pāduke, slippers. Aviratam, constantly. Pari, fully. Ye, who. Caranti, serve. Dhyāyanti, meditate upon. Abhadra, of inauspicious things. Naśane, which cause the destruction. śucayaḥ, purified. gṛṇanti, and describe in their words. Vindanti, obtain. Te, they. Kamala, like a lotus. Nābha, O you whose navel. Bhava, of material life. Apavargam, the cessation. Āśāsate, harbor desires. Yadi, if. Te, they. āśiṣa, attain the desired objects. Āśiṣa, O Lord. Na, not. Nānye, other persons. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Purified persons who constantly serve, meditate upon, and glorify your shoes, which destroy everything inauspicious, are sure to obtain freedom from material existence, O lotus-naveled one. Even if they desire something in this world, they obtain it, whereas others, those who do not take shelter of you, are never satisfied, O Lord. Purport. Srila Prabhupada writes in this connection, so this is actually a translation by Hridayananda Das Goswami Maharaj, and the purport is from him as well. Srila Prabhupada writes in this connection that liberated Krishna-conscious persons do not even desire to become freed from this material existence or to enjoy material opulences. Their desires are fulfilled by Krishna-conscious activities. As far as we, King Yudhishthira, are concerned, we are fully surrendered unto your lotus feet, and by your grace we are so fortunate to see you personally. Therefore, naturally, we have no desire for material opulences. The verdict of the Vedic wisdom is that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I want to establish this fact, and I also want to show the world the difference between accepting you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and accepting you as an ordinary, powerful, historical person. I wish to show the world that no one can attain the highest perfection of life simply by taking shelter. I wish to show the world that one can attain the highest perfection of life simply by taking shelter at your lotus feet, exactly as one can satisfy the branches, twigs, leaves, and flowers of an entire tree simply by watering the root. Thus, if one takes to Krishna consciousness, his life becomes fulfilled both materially and spiritually. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti similarly explains King Yudhishthira's statement. We feel no great urgency to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice, nor do we have any personal interest, since we are already seeing your lotus feet, and by your boundless mercy have been taken into your personal association. But in this world, there are some whose hearts are contaminated, and who thus think you are not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but an ordinary man. Or else they find fault with you and even criticize you. This is an arrow piercing our hearts. Therefore, to extract this arrow from our heart, we must call to this place on the pretext of the Rajasuya, Brahma, Rudra, and other wise brahmacharis and demigods who reside in each of the 14 planetary systems. When such an exalted congregation is assembled, it will be incumbent upon them to first arrange for the Agra Puja, or the first worship for the most worthy person present. And when they are directly shown that you, Lord Krishna, are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the arrow piercing our heart will be removed. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitan yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna-preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktivrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Once more, the translation. Purified persons who constantly serve, meditate upon, and glorify your shoes, which destroy everything inauspicious, are sure to obtain freedom from material existence, O lotus-naveled one. Even if they desire something in this world, they obtain it, whereas others, those who do not take shelter of you, are never satisfied, O Lord. So here we have Yudhishthira Maharaj, great devotee of Krishna, perfect devotee who wants to set the highest example of how to glorify the Lord and what is the effect of glorifying the Lord and establishing his supremacy. So he wants to arrange what's called the Rajasuya Yajna, or sacrifice. And why does he want to do that? Is it to do anything for himself? He's a pure devotee, of course not. And he makes that very clear, that his heart is pained by other people not acknowledging Krishna as who he is. And so he takes great pains to arrange everything. And this is no small feat. He has to conquer the entire world, essentially. He has to unify every single province under him and make sure that every other ruler, every other powerful Kshatriya king subordinates themselves. And he's prepared to fight. So he sends out his other brothers, the other Pandavas, to conquer or to get fealty from those, loyalty from those who don't want to challenge the supremacy. And so this is very complex, risky, dangerous, intense, and time-consuming. And then what to speak of the ceremony itself. And interestingly, he just has this one thing in mind, a tiny component, the initial piece of the ceremony, which is called the Agra Puja. And what is the Agra Puja? It establishes the most worthy person there as that, the most worthy. And so he just wants to show, he wants to invite Brahma and Shiva and all the great demigods and sages, everybody to come from all 14 planetary systems, just so that he can show that they all bow down to Krishna, that Krishna is the Lord, and that will remove the piercing, or the piercing of his heart with an arrow, that others are denigrating my Lord. They're considering him an ordinary person. A devotee can't bear that pain. We saw how Srila Prabhupada responded to those who wouldn't acknowledge Krishna's supremacy. He was very, very pained by it. And he took also extraordinary pains to try to conquer the world with bhakti, to establish Krishna as the supreme. So that's the heart of a pure devotee. And in this chapter, one king, this chapter is named after Jarasandha and his being killed, because he's one king who refuses to submit to Yudhishthira Maharaj. He is not a devotee, and he is not happy with anything that the devotees are doing. So he challenges, and he's extremely, extremely difficult to defeat. But Krishna helps Bhima to defeat him. That's a whole story. You'll get to hear that soon. So that's the context. And it's interesting that we have this verse from Yudhishthira Maharaj divided into sort of two possibilities. What is it that a devotee experiences, and what is it that someone who doesn't come to the path of devotional service experiences? I know a little something of both sides. I know more about one side than the other. I'm trying to experience the effects of coming to devotional service, so I'm more familiar with what it means to not come to this path. But they have very different outcomes. One is that you can be completely satisfied and everything inauspicious is destroyed. You get freedom from material existence. That means no more suffering ever again of any kind. Not even a little. And there's ecstasy. Wow. Yes. And on the contrary, you're never satisfied. If you don't come to Krishna, if you don't take shelter of Krishna, you're never satisfied. You're always hankering for something more of this world that it will never provide you. It just keeps you on the treadmill, hoping that one day it will somehow, by some miracle, come, even though most persons who fit this description don't believe in miracles. Again, I was one of them. And yet, hypocritically, we're expecting miracles. That's the kind of silliness, the madness of material existence, that one day we're expecting to be satisfied, and then we die. And that's not very satisfying either. So, take your pick, Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying, and the Bhagavatam is saying, take your pick. Which is more attractive? And of course, one is clearly more attractive than the other, but it requires faith. If I had read this verse when I was not having any faith, I would have said, forget it. I'm good, thank you very much. So all of this is dependent on faith. And what is it that will create faith? In fact, all the stages of bhakti, all the 9 stages leading from adau shraddha, the initial interest or faith, all the way to the ultimate goal of prema, pure love for Krishna, they're all just stages of faith. So what is it that gives us faith and the ability to advance from one stage to another? How can we reach our goal? Sadhu Sangha, that's it. Panchagoda Prabhu is very, very wise. Sadhu Sangha. It all comes from those who have faith. If we want faith, we have to go to those who have it. Just like if you want something in the material world, you have to go to people who have it so you can get it from them. Or from a place that has it, right? In this place, the reservoir of bhakti is the heart of the Vaishnava. So we of little faith, we should know what to do. We should never be bewildered about what to do. We have our moments of feeling bereft, feeling the struggles of material existence, no doubt. But there's really only one solution. It's not so complicated. It may be difficult, but it's not complicated. We go to the Vaishnavas. In fact, Ramanujacharya says that if you're feeling unenthusiastic or you're feeling winded in your bhakti, if you're really struggling, run to the association of the Vaishnavas. Run. That should be the spirit. There has to be eagerness. There has to be a sense of I need. As Prabhupada described it, the Govinda necessity. The Govinda necessity. Not the Govinda it would be nice to have. The Govinda necessity. So we have to recognize the cost of not having faith in order to see the necessity and to approach with eagerness such that we actually will attain it. If somebody comes to you and they say, hey, would you mind just like giving me a large sum of money? I don't really need it or anything, but you could give it to me if you want. What are you going to do? Anything that you have that's very valuable, somebody approaches you like that, how would you respond? Absolutely, take it. It's not inspiring. There may be some pure devotees who would do that, but probably they're even a little discerning. What creates the inspiration for somebody to give what they have? When you see, what's that?
I don't think.
Oh.
My mouth shut this time.
No. You have all the answers. It means you see somebody's in need. That's what moves the heart, is when you see somebody is in need. Then we want to give. If I sense I can make a difference in this person's life, if I feel like I can really contribute, and by my contribution, it will matter to that person, and there'll be a new trajectory, that's very inspiring. So let us not forget, when we come into the Sangha of the Vaishnavas, we have to recognize the value of what they possess. We have to search our hearts for what is the cost of not possessing it. And then we have to prostrate ourselves and say, I need your shraddha, I need your faith, so that bhakti will work for me, so that I will experience that bhakti is real. Faith is nothing more than the experience of reality when it's placed properly. When faith is misplaced, then it's in unreality. But what is prema bhakti, the ultimate goal? It's not just something you believe in. You think prema bhaktas are going around saying, I believe in Krishna. Yes, I believe in him. I believe he exists. That's not a prema bhakta. They are experiencing him. That is their faith. Their faith is grounded in the reality that is unshakable, immovable. And they have love as a result, because they know the person who is the most lovable. So Yudhishthira Maharaj, nobody can shake his faith. You can kill him and tell him, renounce your bhakti or I'll kill you. He will never renounce his bhakti. He won't do it. We've seen many great saints of all faiths who have had this shraddha, this faith, and you can't take it away from them because they can't deny their experience. Srila Prabhupada, I don't remember the specific context, but if anybody does, you can help me. Once he said this really affected me. Because Prabhupada would speak so strongly, he was so authoritative that sometimes he could be mistaken for being arrogant. I think that was my offense when I first came to bhakti, that he so mercifully forgave. I thought wow, he's a bit thinking he really knows what he's talking about, and he must have some pride. He's so strong, so intense. But so somebody was a little put off by this, and they were asking, what makes you like that? Well, why do you think that you know the truth? And his response was, how can I deny my experience? How can I pretend that Krishna is not God? That would be crazy. So shraddha amounts to that in its true sense. And we're trying to build to that experience. And as we walk this path from shraddha to prema, the shraddha that increases comes through experience in the association of Vaishnavas by the humble mood of wanting what they have. And they become pleased by our humility, our eagerness, our valuing what they value. They feel connected, they feel bonded with us. Everybody wants common bonds, common interests, mutuality, shared reality, and affection that comes from unity in purpose and in heart. This is even in the material world true, although it's very hard to find, and it's not so deep. But everybody wants that. That's the nature of the soul. So when you come to the bhaktas, that's what they're looking for. Do you want Krishna? Do you also like Krishna? Do you want to like him more than you presently do? Where do you stand? Do we stand together? Can I help you? Because I can't help you if you don't want the same thing. Then we're on different pages. So we have to really search our hearts and determine, what do we want? How much do we want it? And it always comes down to this: what is the cost of not having it? So Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying to take shelter of Krishna. And how does one take shelter of Krishna? Just as we've been saying, Krishna says, one who says that they are my devotee, not my devotee. Who is Krishna's devotee? The devotee of my devotee. That's what he says. The devotee of my devotee is my real devotee. Why? Because Krishna's not so all about himself as we are. And he just loves his loved ones so much that he wants them to get all credit. Like he tells Arjuna, hey, I arranged this fight. I did the real hard work. I arranged that all of these millions and millions of soldiers are put to death. You can just be an instrument in my hands and win glory. You get the credit. So Krishna wants his devotees to get the credit. That's all that he cares about, is my devotees. And so if we want to take shelter of Krishna, it's very clear, it's not ambiguous how to do that. It's by taking shelter of Krishna's devotees. So the main question that I had for us today is being answered in this. What does it mean to take shelter? What does it mean to take shelter? When Yudhishthira Maharaj says this is the difference between one who has taken shelter and one who hasn't, this is it. It's taking shelter of the Vaishnavas. Have we taken shelter of the Vaishnavas? We should do a personal inventory. Have we really come in that spirit? Have we done that today? We've been involved in a lot of devotional activity. How active are our hearts? How much are we desiring the goal of what we're doing and aligning with the Vaishnavas? We should think like this. And if the answer is, I haven't really done that, congratulations. You've been honest with yourself. And honesty is the quality of a brahmana, it's the quality of a sadhu, and it's the path to auspiciousness. Then from there, you can determine what you want to do. And hopefully, if you're truly honest, you'll recognize the reality of how much we need to take shelter of the Vaishnavas. Otherwise, it's not so honest. So let us think like that always. Am I taking shelter of the Vaishnavas? Am I taking shelter? This is not a one-time deal. This is not like, oh yeah, one and done. I did, yes, I came to Krishna consciousness. Look, I have a spiritual master. I have a spiritual name. Took shelter of the Vaishnavas. It's official. No, that's not what this is about. This is a constant affair. This should be happening in our sleep. In other words, we should saturate our consciousness so much with Krishna consciousness, with Krishna's devotees, their instructions, their example, the inspiration that they give, such that when we go to sleep, the mind doesn't shut off anyway, so let it come to Krishna conscious experiences, or at the very least, which I'm most familiar with, let it burn our karma and help us wake up refreshed. There's a verse in the Bhagavatam, and particularly a purport from Srila Prabhupada, where this is in relation to Narada Muni, so Prabhupada says in this verse that devotees sometimes get their karma in dreams. He doesn't say it exactly in those words, but he says they can experience something that then they don't have to in reality. So karma is getting burned. That's Krishna's mercy. That comes when we're sincere and serious, when we spend our waking life taking shelter of the Vaishnavas, not occasionally. Occasionally is better than not at all, for sure. We'll work our way up, so occasionally we can also be grateful for. But that is not a place to stop. And unfortunately, I see and I know my Guru Maharaj, Srila Sachinandan Swami Maharaj, he observes very carefully that that is the resting place for most devotees. It's not a good resting place. Then we get lost on the path. We get stuck. We never make it to the goal. Why are we performing bhakti if we don't want the fruit of bhakti? It's actually irrational. So occasionally taking shelter doesn't make sense. If we want bhakti, that means all the time. All the time taking shelter. So as Krishna says in the 6th chapter of the Gita, such that we're not completely overwhelmed by that and feeling too intimidated to do it, Shanai Shanai Uparamed, Shanai Shanai Uparamed. Gradually, step by step. Gradually, step by step. He says, gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance, the ultimate goal of Krishna consciousness, samadhi. One should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction. Full conviction, shraddha, right? Faith. So gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance, get the goal, by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction. That's our path. He just laid it out. That's our path. So, one step at a time, but never resting at any step. This is the key. Never resting on our laurels. That's false pride that covers the soul and keeps us chained to material existence. So, never resting. Always, we're climbing a steep mountain. Always take the next step, always take the next step, always take the next step. And with enthusiasm, because Govinda is on the other side and he is my necessity. And the Vaishnavas are so wonderful. If you're actually associating with Vaishnavas who have Shraddha, they're irresistible. How could you not want what they have? How could you not want to be in their presence and want what they have? So we also have to change the quality of our Sangha. And this is where you have the concept of svajati. Svajati is like-minded. Not just anybody. It's not just, okay, well that person has tilak on, so I'll prostrate myself, and I mean that's also nice in the mind, but when it comes to truly taking Sangha, it won't work. There has to be connection, and the person has to be setting an example where you can follow, you can feel inspired. And when you're with such Vaishnavas, the enthusiasm naturally sustains you and propels you to the next step, the next step, the next step. You take guidance, you ask questions. You ask of the Vaishnavas, how can I become more like you? How can I understand more of what you understand? How can I put into practice more of what you've put into practice? And even if we don't ask so directly, which we should also do, that's how we approach. That's the mood, that's the spirit. So this is Shishyastehan Shadhi Mantvam Prapanam. This is the surrender that Arjuna goes through that brings him to self-realization. Without that turning point of 2.7 in the Gita, he would never achieve self-realization. We understand he's already a pure devotee, but he's setting the example of a sadhaka for us, for our benefit. And so in the Leela, he would never become self-realized if not for that verse where he surrenders. And how does he surrender? He becomes a shishya, disciple. He says, now I am a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. I don't know anything. You know everything. Please instruct me. I need you. I don't think it would be nice to have your instruction. I don't. I need you. This makes all the difference. All the difference. And then the Guru will shower blessings. Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru, Vaishnava, Sadhu. They will shower their blessings. They will give so much. And you'll be able to progress very swiftly. Doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean it also doesn't take time. Because for lifetimes and lifetimes we've been sticking to our bondage. So it's not a cheap thing. But it will come as swiftly as possible. There will be an acceleration, a momentum. And even when we're sometimes feeling feeling the blowback from trying to shake off our material existence, we should know that that's also coming from momentum. That's coming from walking a path as swiftly as we can, that is in the opposite direction of the current of life and of our material existence that we'd been clinging to prior. So it's not a bad sign when there are pains and struggles. It's a good sign if we take them in the right spirit and we learn from them and we process them with our svajati sangha. If we don't process them with our svajati sangha, then we will just feel stuck once again. So we are dependent on the Vaishnavas. We're dependent on the Vaishnavas. It's not optional. The Vaishnavas have given us all the Shastras. They've given us their example of living the Shastras and making it practical, actionable, inspiring, real, not theoretical or historical. So the Vaishnavas, they're our life breath. They're really our pranadhana, the great treasure and life breath of anyone who's aspiring for the real thing. And when we're in the holy dham, is it good to be in the dham without sangha? Not very good. Prabhupada warned against this. It will be very bad for your spiritual life. Going to the dham means going to the devotees of the dham. It means hearing and chanting in association with the devotees. So even if one's doing their personal bhajan, they have to be in deep connection with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. It has to be like that. Even prema bhaktas, even those who have attained the goal of life, they think, I only have this treasure if they will acknowledge it to themselves. They think, I only have this treasure. They know, but I only have this because of the mercy of the Vaishnavas. And how will I actually make good on the ecstasy of it? It's not been there, done that. I got the mercy of the Vaishnavas. Okay, now I can move on, like abscond with my prema. I'm out of here. I got the prema gone. They want to share it, and they want to share it with others who want the same thing or who have the same thing. So they also are nourished by prema. And udipanas, as Rupa Goswami points out, spiritual stimulants, that which makes us think of Krishna, the goal, the essence, the sarva shastra sara, the essence of all the shastras is smaratavya satatam Vishnu vismaratavya najatachit. Okay? Always remember Krishna, never forget him. Always remember Krishna, never forget him. Rupa Goswami makes that very clear. If you want to just think of one verse and you can't think of any other, this is the one. So remember Krishna, don't forget it. How? By udipanas. Now that can be for very advanced states of ecstasy, but it also serves the beginners and the intermediates on the path by giving them some glimpse, giving them some inspiration. And where do these udipanas come from? Those who have spiritual vision, those who can help us to have spiritual vision, and who are giving what they have, their bhakti. So everything comes down to taking shelter of the Vaishnavas in a vulnerable, humble spirit. We human beings are all vulnerable. If we think we're not, we have a big problem. Big problem. All the Shastras are teaching us, and all of material existence is teaching us, even if you don't believe in the Shastra, that you are fragile as can be, and in the end, it will all be gone. That is the most vulnerable you could possibly get. So we're all vulnerable. And if we're accustomed, as most of us are, unfortunately, to suppressing our vulnerabilities, it won't get us very far. If we think, I don't want to talk about my difficulties, I don't even want to look at my difficulties, I don't want to be emotional, I'm going to be a bhakta and I'm going to power through by the mercy of the Vaishnavas. What mercy? How are you receiving mercy if that's your mood? That's in name. And unfortunately, that's what we do. We say a lot of things. Talk is cheap, as they say. Where is our heart? Bhakti is a matter of the heart. Hridaya. Hridaya is always emphasized. The Hridaya Mandira, the temple of the heart, is where the soul resides and where we want to enter the mystical realm of bhakti. So we have to go into the heart. We have to not suppress our vulnerability. We have to accept and acknowledge it. That's not easy for the conditioned soul. We have so many defense mechanisms. We have so many things that make us uncomfortable even with the thought. And then sometimes we go in and we then quickly get out. But we don't see our vulnerabilities through. When you come into the Svajati Sangha of the Vaishnavas as a vulnerable beggar for their Shraddha, everything changes and bhakti comes. Then we really get faith, we get experience. But it's up to us. It's up to us. There's a choice. At every moment, there's a choice. Are we going to go for bhakti? Are we going to acknowledge our vulnerability, our dependence on the Vaishnavas, and take shelter of Krishna through them? Or not? Are we going to take the easy way out and, put on our tilak and say, yeah, I'm chanting and dancing, it's ecstatic, Prabhus. Or, I'm really struggling and I'm losing faith. That's not so good either. Right? So that is what we stand to gain, is by bringing our vulnerabilities to the Vaishnavas and approaching them in that mood, we get all their blessings, all their mercy, all their shraddha, and eventually we will attain prema. It will come. This is not theoretical, and we're not here. Everybody thinks of prema as so lofty. Yes, it is. But if we think of it as so lofty that we will never get it, or it's something just in the spiritual sky over there, doesn't really touch this planet, we're wrong and we're cheating ourselves. Prema is meant to be had. It's the birthright of the soul. Every single one of us is made of prema. When are we going to reclaim it? I'm asking myself this. Hariprasad Das, when are you going to reclaim this prema? It's for you. What do you think your spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada and the Vaishnavas have come to give? There's nothing else. It's just that. So let's get there. This is our path. So what is one thing that you will do to take shelter of the Vaishnavas? What is one thing? Please take a moment, close your eyes, and reflect sincerely and seriously. I really ask you humbly, please do this. It will make such a difference. What is one thing you are going to commit to doing as your next step to take shelter of Krishna through the Vaishnavas? I hope you've all come up with something. If you need to develop it further, please do so after this class. If you want to write about it, I highly recommend it. It's a very good thing. Prabhupada actually said he wanted his disciples to write every day. This is a good thing. So with that, I will open it up for any questions. I saw you. Yes, what is your name, Prabhu? Govinda Prema, Prabhu. Thank you.
My question is regarding the statement you made, how Yudhishthira was trying to prove the supremacy of Lord. In that regard, Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita 9.12, he writes, there are many devotees who assume themselves to be Krishna consciousness and devotional service, but at heart do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. For them, the fruit of devotional service, going back to Godhead, will never be tasted. So I wanted to ask, how are we doing it? We all accept that Krishna is the Supreme, but how are we doing this?
How are we doing what?
That we are not accepting Krishna as the Supreme
Oh.
at heart.
Well, So I would say there are two answers to that. One is we are doing that, hopefully. And we don't necessarily fall into that category of devotees that Prabhupada is talking about. He doesn't say that every single devotee is doing that. So hopefully we're not in that category. But a more nuanced answer, second answer, would be, as Hridayananda Das Goswami Maharaj would say, we are psychological atheists. We're not philosophical atheists. We subscribe to Krishna as God, but psychologically we behave as if he's not. How many of us have habits that we would want to show Krishna? How many of us feel like, I want Krishna to, I know he's seeing everything I'm doing, but I really want to know that he's seeing every little thing. I want to experience him seeing every little thing that I'm doing. Psychological atheism. We just sort of disbelieve him out of the picture. He's watching, don't get me wrong, he's watching, but we've disbelieved him out of the picture. So that's a more nuanced answer for how we could actually be doing that, and we don't want to be in that camp. We want to give everything to Krishna so that we gain full faith in him. Yes, Prabhu, your name? Sri Rama Pandit Prabhu, Hari Hari.
So, let's say there is a situation where the Guru Maharaj is here and he is going to give a class, and at the same time there is a trip going to, let's say, Korsana, and what one has to choose?
Always choose the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Always choose the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Guru Padashaya, Guru Padashaya, first limb of devotional service. Rupa Goswami gives 64 items of devotional service in the Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu. First one that all of them are predicated on, thank you, all of the others are predicated on, Guru Padashaya. Always choose the lotus feet of your spiritual master. If he tells you, go to Varshana, you've heard a lot from me, now go out, then you have his blessings. That's a good thing.
The question why I'm asking is because there are so many people, billions and billions of people are running to Prayagraj for the Kumbh Mela. And actually going there is not easy, traveling 7 hours and just to take one holy trip and come back. But at the same time, you invest that time in more reading and chanting and association with the sadhus. It's not that you don't get sadhus there, but you see the efforts going there just for a holy day. But there's so much going on, especially in Vrindavan, when you have such beautiful temples, so many nice devotees around, beautiful deities. So is it really worth taking all those efforts going there for the holy day?
Yes, yes, it is worth the effort. Why? Because it's seva. That's Guru seva, right? When we dedicate that to the lotus feet of the spiritual master, there are many disciples of Srila Prabhupada who are not in his personal presence. There are many disciples who barely spoke a word to him. I mean, Aindra Prabhu, who lives here eternally, he got one jai out of Srila Prabhupada, and he dedicated his entire life to him anyway. He was doing seva constantly. So Guru Vani is more important than Guru Vapuhu. Vapu is the physical form. Extremely important. Anytime we can get it, we should get it. But Vani, the instructions, the teachings, even more important. And the Guru lives in the instructions. So we'll be in Sangha with the Guru if we're following. And when we do seva for the Guru, especially if we know we have their blessings, then it's wonderful to make that endeavor. Sometimes we might even have to miss our spiritual master because we're his emissary. That's a glorious thing. So that's a self-sacrifice. It's all about the consciousness, the intention, and the blessings behind what we're doing. I think last question, right? We probably, yeah? Yes, Prabhu. Oh, there are two questions. Should we take? Yeah? Okay. What is your name, Prabhu?
My name is...
Very merciful today.
Yeah.
Prabhu, my name is Govardhan Das.
Govardhan, Prabhu. Harival.
Prabhu, in my case, like normally when we mingle with Vaishnava, I'm really very scared of mingling with Vaishnava, being like I do a lot of mistakes and I might do Vaishnava aparadha. So how to overcome that?
That's a healthy fear. We should be afraid of committing Vaishnava aparadha, and the more we associate with Vaishnavas, the more opportunity there is for Vaishnava aparadha. But simultaneously, the opposite is true. The less we associate with Vaishnavas, the more there's opportunity for Vaishnava aparadha, because we're not trained to associate with Vaishnavas. So both are true. What can we do about it? We should have that fear. As Prabhupada said, my only complaint is that my disciples don't fear Maya enough. Why would you commit aparadha? You're in Maya. You're not seeing how dear the devotees are to Krishna. The only way you could commit aparadha is in Maya. So you fear, and therefore you're very careful. Like when you see there's a blazing fire over there, you're very careful not to put your hand in it. You're very respectful of what you fear, right? So with the Vaishnavas, it's not that we fear the devotees, it's that we fear ourselves. And that should not be a block in terms of our connection with them. That's also extremely important, because many of us will put up walls. Yeah, I don't want to offend the Vaishnavas, and usually that's the story I'm telling myself. I'm not getting close because I don't want to offend the Vaishnavas. I'm really not getting close because I have stuff in my heart that prevents me from being connected with myself, and therefore being able to connect with other persons, what to speak of at heart. So we should be very careful about what is the story and what is the reality. But to directly come to the point, we should see them as Krishna sees them. And if there's something that is funny about how they're behaving, keep a respectful distance. If we have to work through something with them, let's do it. If we don't have to work through something with them, and there's still something funny going on, Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Very respectful. That's the protection. I offer my respects at the feet of this person, and I go to the next person. Like a bumblebee going to one flower after another, this metaphor is given in Shastra. We Vaishnavas can be like the bumblebee, looking for prema. If somebody is putting up some walls to bhakti, then we don't have to go to the wall. Why slam your head against the wall? But we don't blame. And we also might be misperceiving things, so we should be very careful to check in with the reality and not just our stories. Last question. Yes, Prabhu. And what is your name?
Prabhuji, my name is Gopal Chandra Das.
Gopal Chandra, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Actually, I am not initiated.
Well, that's a very good name for one who's not initiated.
Prabhuji, thank you for the very nice class. Generally, people take to devotional service to march into Brahma Jyoti, to go to higher planets like Swarga, to Vaikuntha Lok, and to Golokdhama. Here in the purport, it has been mentioned that a true devotee of the Lord doesn't like to get rid of the material existence and doesn't want to get entangled in it. Am I clear?
Yes. What is the question?
My question is, can you elaborate on it?
Can I elaborate on what the devotee's desire is? Well, so the devotee never wants liberation into the Brahma Jyoti, because that's exactly contrary to bhakti. That removes the individuality of the soul, and therefore there can be no prema, because without the soul and the object of the soul's love, Krishna, there's no question of prema. So that's out of the question. Then Svarga, devotee, if they're mixed, if they're karma mishra bhaktas, they have some material desires, they might attain Svarga, they might want to attain Svarga. Okay, we have some forgiveness for that. That could be us. Hopefully not. Prabhupada said many, many devotees, many of my disciples will be going to attain Svarga, the higher planets. He didn't want that. So let's try really hard not to do that. But if we don't complete our devotional service in this life, that is the danger. Of all things, it could be worse. Higher planets, not so bad, all things considered, but bad for one who truly wants bhakti. And then getting out of material existence, well, that's a prerequisite for attaining spiritual existence. So a devotee wants that. But a devotee is not set on liberation for liberation's sake. A devotee is set on liberation for what it can give me, which is prema bhakti. Krishna says in the Gita that one who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He's equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains devotional service unto me. So getting rid of material existence, attaining spiritual existence, the Brahman platform, the Brahma Bhuta platform, that is a necessity. We can't bypass that. It's just that that's not the goal. It's the means. It is a part of the path. It's a landmark on the path. So we have to get free from entanglement so that we're free for our hearts to be filled with bhakti. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Vrindavana Dhama ki jai.